Welcome to this week's edition of the Weekly Travel Alert. I'm Steve Glenn.
I'm Paul Glenn.
And also in the studio, we have Ryan Swihart. We call him fondly #Snerdly. He does all the technical keys and keyboards and keeps us smiling.
Makes us look good.
Makes us look good.
All the little fun stuff that gets plugged in. That's all Ryan's doing.
That's right. 1 year ago, we started with these podcasts. The Weekly Travel Alert started 1 year ago in a podcast.
It's gone fast.
Over 50 of these we've done. It's been amazing.
Yeah, it has been.
Hey, today we've got a great program for you. I've got a program highlighted. It's called Here's the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly About Flying Southwest Airlines. Ladies and gentlemen, this last weekend, Paul, I took a flight from Omaha to St. Louis. I did a speech in St. Louis, got back on the plane, and headed back to Omaha all in one day.
Yeah, that's nice and convenient.
Yeah, and I don't normally fly Southwest, so I thought I'd share with you, our watchers and listeners, that what I find is the good, the bad, and the ugly. You ready to go?
Let's do it.
Here we go. Number one on this week's edition of the Weekly Traveler reads the good about Southwest Airlines. Good number one. The flights were not like clockwork like they used to be. However, they operated within 20 minutes, Paul, and anymore.
I was going to say,
that's pretty on time.
That's pretty much on time.
Okay.
And they build in some windows. So I would imagine you probably weren't too much later on your arrivals than what you were scheduled.
No, that was good number one. Bad number one, Southwest's famous cattle call for the massive lineup to get on the planes. I hate that. Mm-hmm. I hate standing in lines. I hate going. I was B like 49 or something. So that means one line went through, another line went through, then B 1 through 30 went through, and then I was the fourth line.
Have they talked about that at all with their changes and adding seat assignments next year, if they're going to change up their boarding process?
Don't know how that'll go.
I think that'll be interesting because, that cattle call is one of the deterrents for many people.
Yeah, I
hate that. If they do it similar to the other airlines where they've got some other process, then that might be something to help draw some additional interest to them.
So we've done the good, the bad, and now the ugly. Number one is Southwest Airlines computer system is like 40 years old. They really are limited in what they can do. I'm worried about when things happen, you worry about if they can keep up, and especially if they start doing seat assignments.
Well, and this has to be something that the investors that are pushing for some change at Southwest are going to have to make them get to contemporary with. So I'm sure that, or I'm assuming that we'll see some changes with that here in the near future with all the other changes that they've got on the horizon.
Hey, this is a Weekly Travel Alert. Every week we actually put out an email to over 100,000 people. They get a weekly email from Executive Travel. This is sponsored by Executive Travel. You can visit our website at executivetravel.com. We even our headquarters, you can come down and see friendly faces at 1212 O Street in Lincoln, Nebraska. Hey, this week we're going through the good, the bad, and the ugly about Southwest Airlines. We went through the first ones. The second one is good number two is bags fly free. Always one of the big things for people why they choose Southwest Airlines. Checking in a bag, Paul, today can cost domestically $35 to internationally $150. That's one way. So you could go on an international flight and pay $300 a bag to check a bag internationally on some airlines, but Southwest doesn't charge that.
Yeah, that's one of the significant differentiators for Southwest, and one of the reasons that many people choose them is because they don't get all the extra fees that everybody else plugs into that. So that's a good one.
Number two, then bad number two is it used to be Southwest was a low fare carrier. Now they're one of the highest. My little flight from Omaha to St. Louis round trip same day was $535.
Yeah, but what did they give you that you couldn't have gotten anywhere else? Could you have done the one-day trip on any other carrier out of Lincoln or Omaha?
I could have, but I would have got back home at midnight.
Yeah.
And this way I got home at 7.
So rather than the convenience, or if you would have gotten back to Omaha at midnight, you likely would have been tired, may have had to add a hotel room. So, I think if you look at what you're able to do when you can get the direct flights, then there's a lot of value to that.
Number two on the ugly, the good, bad, the ugly number two is Southwest seems to run a $59 airfare sale every other week. I've never been able to find a $59 airfare. Now that is ugly. Come on, Southwest. You can't say $59 and nobody can find a $59 fare. Snerdly, You're Mr. Companion Pass on Southwest. Have you ever found a $59 fare?
I literally just looked, and they had an ad, and it was like $39 low fare.
There we go.
One way. Couldn't find it.
Never found it. So come on, that's false. That's false advertising. If
You guys
can't
just
find
have
it.
to look at Toledo, Ohio. You can probably get that $59 fare.
Hey, today we're talking about the good, the bad, the ugly on Southwest. We've had our first tier of good, bad, and ugly number 1, good, bad, and ugly number 2. 3 good, Paul, is Southwest offers many direct flights from secondary cities like Omaha. And some of these flights allow you to do, like you said, a one-day meeting. I could go out at early in the morning. It just about killed me, though. I got up at 3 in the morning, drove to Omaha. I was exhausted from day one, went down, got to my meeting, was done at noon, got to the airport, 3 o'clock back home. But I had to go to bed at 7:30, man. I was tuckered out.
Well, that sounds like the highlight of the day is 7:30 bedtime.
Now, listen to these cities you can go to directly from Omaha, like a city like Omaha, Denver, Chicago, Dallas, Vegas, Orlando, Phoenix, Nashville, and Houston. We were talking about how you could slip on a flight at noon, be in Nashville in the afternoon, go to a concert, and come back the next day. I mean, just slick as a whistle. I love direct flights. I'm not sure I love Southwest yet, but I love direct flights.
I don't know, I think some of the changes that we're going to see might make it so that people do come to appreciate them at a different level.
You bet. Bad number 3 is Southwest tries to prevent you from comparing their price. Easy for me to say comparing their prices to other airlines. Basically, you could only find their flight prices on their website. Now they're expanding it. Travel management companies or travel agencies like Executive Travel have access to those low fares when you can find a low fare. So you can now find it in other ways, but that's historically been one of the bad things about them. And number 3, ugly, they don't offer seat assignments. Now that's changing, right? They said next year, 2025, Southwest is going to offer not only seat assignments, but Economy Plus or that wider, longer seat.
Bigger
right?
legroom, which that's a big thing for a guy
that get
like
you
Ryan.
going on Southwest now?
No, still not. Not as long as they do the cattle call, I think I'm out.
Okay, well, maybe they'll get rid of the good old cattle call. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we're on the Weekly Travel Alert this week, and we're having fun going through the good, the bad, and the ugly about Southwest. Now I've got one more, number 4, good, bad, and ugly, and then we'll go to some of the good things that are about Southwest Airlines. Good number 4, Southwest doesn't charge you to change, and they were one of the few airlines that didn't charge. COVID hit, and all the airlines matched them, so they don't charge now, right?
Yeah, and I think that was a competitive advantage for Southwest. That's why a lot of leisure travelers would utilize them pre-COVID, and then, as you mentioned, COVID hit, and all the other carriers were trying to make it so that people didn't have a disincentive to continue to buy airline tickets. So they got rid of those change fees so that people would continue to buy and they wouldn't have consequences if something changed with all the unknowns of COVID. So now that's kind of the standard, but Southwest, they were the original ones there.
All right, the good, the bad, the ugly about Southwest. Here's number 4, bad. They don't provide interline baggage agreements. So, Paul, if you take a flight from Omaha to Phoenix and connect with a Alaska Air flight from Phoenix to Seattle, you get to Phoenix, you got to go outside, claim your luggage, take it upstairs, check it on Alaska. There's no interline agreement with Southwest and any other airlines, whereas United, Delta, and American all have other airlines they interline with that once you check in your luggage, it goes all the way there. So, for example, you might go on United from Lincoln to Chicago and jump on Lufthansa from Chicago to Frankfurt, and they will
you grab your bag in Frankfurt. You don't have to worry about it in Chicago.
So that's another bad. The last, what I have is ugly, is you are stuck on Southwest if your flight cancels and there are no other seats on Southwest Airlines, because no other airline will accept your ticket to go, even if they have empty seats.
Yeah, this is one of the bigger challenges that can come from this. And we saw this almost 2 years ago. It was over Christmas, I want to say back in 2022, that they had some storms and things that started disruptions, and then everything got off. And there were many people that were stuck for a week. So it's one of those things where, if you book on United and they don't have space on the next flight, but Delta does, then United can put you on to Delta under certain circumstances. So that is a significant thing to know, to the point of 2 years ago over that Christmas holiday. There are many people that just finally gave up and rented cars and drove wherever they were trying to get to.
Especially the last 3 years, where post-COVID, or the last 2 years, we've seen the planes are all full. Mm-hmm. So if you have a canceled flight, you're not going to get on another flight probably that day. We had people during that Christmas mess. And actually, recently, when Southwest had a computer glitch, mm-hmm. they couldn't get back for a week. Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're in Phoenix, you might be stuck. You better hope it's January and not July in Phoenix.
The alternative is you have to buy another ticket on a different carrier.
Yeah.
And you might be able to get something refunded. And at that point, if you got that $59 ticket that exists somewhere out there, you get your $59 back. But that last minute ticket on a very limited availability seat on a different carrier may cost you $500.
You may want to buy travel insurance if you go on Southwest. It's ironic you'd try to save money going on Southwest but spend more by getting travel insurance mm-hmm. because you got to protect yourself. Hey, that's the good, the bad, and the ugly of traveling on Southwest Airlines. Now I've got 4 more really good things about Southwest. Southwest now serves many destinations, Paul, in Caribbean, Mexico, Central America, and Hawaii. They used to just be a domestic carrier. Now they're all over the Caribbean, Mexico, and Hawaii, all those vacation spots.
Well, I think they've got that, what's been historically a leisure traveler. And so they're adding the destinations so that they can keep the focus of those travelers.
You bet. Now, this is my favorite. Southwest has the friendliest people. Paul, I was getting off the flight in St. Louis. I got off. They had cleaning people coming on. They were saying, thank you for your business. These are the cleaning people even. They're so friendly. I come back to Omaha. The cleaning people were on there again, and they were saying thank you. And the pilot comes out, thanks you for your business. So they just seem to be the friendliest carrier in the sky.
I think that's one thing they've always had. And, you'll see online where they've got the pre-departure safety briefing, and you got a guy rapping it to you or something like that. So they've got some personality, and they've historically let their people have some fun doing their jobs.
Yeah, it reminded me of that story once. I had a really hard landing on a Southwest flight, and the flight attendant comes on. This guy comes on and says, "We've either landed or been shot down." We hit so hard. That was funny. Hey, good number 7 is one of the best deals in the travel industries is the Southwest Companion Pass. Our good friend, #Snurly, Ryan Swihart, is a Companion Pass guy, and he's going to be traveling to San Francisco on his Companion Pass, taking your wife, aren't you?
That's right.
All right. So that's a great deal. You basically, every year, they allow you to subscribe to one of their credit cards. You charge $4,000 over 90 days, and you get a companion pass that you can use for the next year.
And all you got to do is pay the taxes for that.
The taxes.
But I would be surprised if that doesn't go away with all the pressure that they're under right now. So yeah. I think Ryan may have grabbed the last opportunity to be able to get that companion pass.
But it's a great thing traveling to the Caribbean, to Mexico, to Hawaii. That's where you can save big bucks. So, Ryan, you ought to try to get away this fall maybe to the Caribbean or somewhere that'd be worth your while. Check out that companion pass.
I'll see if my boss will give me some time off.
Okay, number 8.
Let's move on.
Southwest. Yeah, let's not talk about that here. Hey, number 8 on the good, the bad, and the ugly. This is the good. Is that Southwest has some of the longest leg rooms in the whole industry. It seems like they have about 3 extra inches than every other airline, than American, United, and Delta. Why those guys are shrinking their seats.
So everybody else.
Southwest, it seems like they've got reasonable seats. So I like that a lot. And that's number 8 on our list of the good, the bad, and the ugly this week on the Weekly Traveler. And I'd like to thank you for joining us this week. I'm Steve Glenn.
I'm Paul Glenn. Please like, subscribe, share, and add any comments or feedback of topics that might be of interest in a future episode. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Comparing their price. Easy for me to say.